Okay, members, I want to take and do a video here and kind of wrap up the two trades that we finished off today that were video trades. One was Honeywell. If I'll just recap what took place here. I bought Honeywell on a small retrace intraday back on this big bar day. And I bought somewhere up in here. I flipped half of it on a quick move and then got stuck in the rest when the UTX takeover news came out. We traded down off of that, and I've been holding it. And then yesterday I sold some of it because it looked as if we were just going to simply break down farther and I wasn't going to take the risk. And then this morning I sold some more of it on the big bounce. It was up to 2.5%. Now it's moved up even higher since I sold, partly because the general market's strong, but also partly because after I sold, news comes out that the UTX deal is going to be scrapped and they're not going to do it. And so I kind of caught the worst of this move or of this trade as worst as I could, right, in terms of news. I bought in and then news killed me on the trade. And then I sold it and news is going to now help me probably if I was still in the trade. Sometimes that's just the way it works. I mean, you can't always know what the exogenous events are going to be. Sometimes you get caught in a trade and it doesn't work out. You have to find an exit, and try to minimize your losses when it happens, and that's what ended up happening on this trade. The fact that we've got volume at the top says eventually it can make it back up there. Now that we've exited the trade, I'll just kind of forget this and move on to something else. And sometimes it's just, the best thing you can do. The other trade that we made, and made this yesterday based on the assumption that we were getting a full failure on the Russell, and that was that the Russell traded over the swing point high and then closed back underneath it and failed. And we got a swing point high test break or breakout failure. And I'm going to actually move to the Russell so you can see it. So here was the test of that swing point high. It failed. Unfortunately, it had more volume. And so that means it can go back and test it again, and that's exactly what's happening today. And if I flip over to where we've got some volume on the IWM so that we can actually see what the volume looks like, volume's pretty light today, but so far it's over it. Now, again, strong day today elsewhere is helping this push higher. Whether it stays over it or falls today, we don't know. It's too early in the day. We're only a couple hours into trading, but we'll see how it plays out. But at this point, my stops were triggered on the RWM. What I was trailing it with was with a stop just up underneath here, and they stopped me out on the low. And sometimes that happens as well. And so, unfortunately, sometimes these things just don't work as well as you want them to. The failure in this case was making the assumption that the swing point highs test failure yesterday was a complete failure. In other words, on price and on volume. It ended up being just on price, not volume. And then today we get the failure on the trade as a result of that retest. That's the two trades. That's what's happened with them. They're both closed out now. On the portfolio for the last couple of weeks, we've managed about 1.5% gain with about probably a maximum of about 30% of our money invested. That's a pretty good return on that amount of money. It was a good time to take some long trades. Now it gets a lot more iffy as to what's happening, which is what I alluded to here in the last couple of days. Because if you look at these indexes, and I'll just go back to the Russell, they're coming up, they're trying to break the swing point highs. That's what you can expect them to try and do. But once they break it, there's still a lot more to go in terms of being able to repair this kind of damage that's already been done. So if I bring over the weekly chart, we can see the damage here, right? You're just back up. A bounce makes sense. You can get back to the swing point low probably, best case, which is 1078. But this is a straight up move, right, on these time frames. Straight up move off the lows, volume diminishing as we're going up. we're going to get a retrace. The easy money off the lows has already been made, and so it's going to get a lot more difficult to keep going up, and we're probably going to see that come into effect here in the next day or two. So that's it for today. That's the wrap up on those trades. My focus now is looking elsewhere and trying to determine where the rotation is going to be in terms of where money's going to rotate to, so that I can try to play those trades to the upside and keep looking and probing for a downside move on the next test failure that we see, especially if it's across the board in multiple indexes. All right, that's it. Thanks. Bye.